We were stuck in Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia. We were left behind the rally because we'd broken a differential unit. After fitting the differential unit, we loaded the car up with our kit and we drove that car non-stop for 66 hours. We drove it from Ulaanbaatar to Bisk in Russia on our own, unsupported, across the Gobi Desert, which is 2,500 kilometres all day and night. And to drive across that terrain, of which there is very little roads and the tracks are not much to ride about, was an absolute epic adventure. And only then, when you make it to Bisk, you've still got to drive all the way back to Paris. But we rejoined the rally and we carried on. That was an experience of a lifetime, which was only made possible by the car ultimately being reliable and doing what was asked of it. My name is William Metcalfe and I have a passion for vintage Bentleys. It's probably fair to say it's my father's fault. His idea of a family holiday was 28,000 miles around America in a vintage Bentley with myself and my two sisters and my mother. We hit the road for 9 months and did 28,000 miles. We covered every coastal road and across the middle and back. And having that as an experience at 5 years old, being able to stop in Florida and climb out the car and climb up a tree and pick oranges, to swim in the sea and see those white sandy beaches and the people that you meet and the reception that we got everywhere we went. As a 5-year-old, that was quite something. And this lovely old car took us on all that journey. So the bond with that car, as for us kids, it was part of the family, that car. And so that's where the passion was grown. And I always wanted to emulate that, and I always wanted to travel in a vintage Bentley. So we've got a few trips planned for the future. I'm lucky now I can take my two little boys and go and see the world. My father was a toolmaker by trade, and he would stand me on a wooden stool, and I would learn to drill, to hacksaw, to file, all the hand skills, and then in time use the lathe and the milling machine. And he taught me the necessity for accuracy and attention to detail, which certainly he had. And his idea was that whatever I did in life, at least I would have some skills in my hands and I'd be able to make something. So I was always free to become anything I wanted to, but through his teaching and through an induction into vintage Bentleys through his hobby, I decided that they were something really special and I wanted to work on them, and I wanted to understand not only the car but the DNA behind the car and how every single piece was made and manufactured and what materials and so on. And I like to dig deeper than anyone else is prepared to dig, to get to the source data, to get to the truth behind something, and to totally understand a product. And so I haven't got there yet, but with vintage Bentleys, there's no lengths we won't go to really dig down and find out how it was done, why it was done. And some of the components that they manufactured in the time with the equipment that they had available to them, it was astounding. Their draftsmen could draw stuff that the engineers really struggled to make on the shop floor. So it's quite entertaining to try and unravel some of the mysteries, and a real challenge. Anything with wheels should be raced. Anything with wheels should be driven to the limit. And so some people ask, what do you think of a car, or what do you think it should look like? And the honest answer is the best way to see a car is coming sideways through a chicane. All Bentleys have a crash gearbox. If you are driving the car on the limit, on a race circuit say, if you enter the complex at Silverstone in top gear at probably 100 miles an hour and you brake heavily and you go for third gear, you have to make that gear change. You have to get it in first time in order for you to have the drive and therefore the grip to get through that bend. If you miss that gear, if you miss that one split second of timing, and you've got a handful of neutral, you are no longer driving that car. You are now a passenger in that car, and that car will not go round that bend. You don't have the drive to give you the grip. So now you're heading across the gravel, and now you're heading towards the tyre wall. And so when you race a vintage Bentley, or you drive a vintage Bentley hard in competition, if you do not drive it and get it right, you will pay for it in a kind of catastrophic way. So the satisfaction of being able to and nailing it and making those gear changes and driving the car on the limit, on the curbs, and yet bringing it back, that's the sense of achievement and the reward for getting it right. I think a vintage Bentley is a connection between the here and now to the rolling 20s of the Bentley boys. And so the connection is one of nostalgia and historic meaning, but it takes you on a journey where you can experience all those things in the past and still have our own fun today.